Hey, this is Elena with Black Sheep 303 Creative. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back. I am in Cricut Design Space today, and I have opened a new project. And I'm going to go over here on the left-hand toolbar and click on Upload to upload the design I want to use for this t-shirt. So I'm going to click on Upload Image, and now I'm going to click on Browse. It's going to open a navigation window for my computer, and I'm going to go to the File and hit Open. Click on it to select it, hit Open, and it shows up right here as prepared to upload. I can at this point change the name of it and then add tags like, you know, dogs or love or whatever you want to say to make it easier to find later. I'm not going to worry about that so much. I'm just going to go over here to the lower right and hit Upload. And your most recent upload will come in on the far left under Recent Uploads, and you will see that I have both a dogs and a cats version of this file that will be a free download for you on my blog and in the video description through April 22nd, 2021. So I want to select the dogs version. So I click on it, it turns green, and I'm going to go over here in the lower right and hit Insert Images. And it opens up into the canvas. Now I did save this originally as 12 inches tall and 8.45 inches wide. Now that's a little bit big for how I want to make this shirt. So with your Maker, like Cricut Maker mat, the 12 by 12 mat, the biggest you can cut is 11.5 inches. Now I could use a 12 by 24 inch mat, but I'm going to be using an EasyPress 2 in order to get this onto my shirt, to heat the Infusible Ink transfer sheets onto the shirt. So I need to make this smaller than that, the plate of that, which is 12 inches tall. So I need to make it, I want to make it a little bit less. So I'm going to change this. I'm going to make sure that the lock is locked, which it is, down here on the lower left. And I'm going to change the height to 11. Just so the whole thing shrinks down a little bit. Now you'll notice over here on the right, on the layers panel, that they are all grouped together. So I'm going to ungroup them, because there's 2 steps that I need to make before we send this over to make it. So I need to select all of the black words and letters, and you may notice on the right hand side that it shows over here it's grayed out, or sort of darker gray on the ones that I've selected. So I've selected all of the black elements, and that's what I want to do, because I want those to all remain exactly as you see them here when I send them over to the cutting mat. So I've selected them, and I'm going to go down to the lower right and hit Attach. And attach basically means that they will stay exactly as we see them now, and that's pretty important for this. Now the dogs part is going to be cut out of a different colored transfer sheet, so I do want that as a second mat. And then when I weed it and put it together, you'll see how we do that with the transfer sheets. It's pretty easy, especially with a design that's this simple. Okay, so that's all I have to do, and I'm just going to go over here and to the upper right and click Make It. Okay, so you'll see that all of the black elements are here on the first mat. Now for Infusible Ink transfer sheets, I do need to mirror the design, because we are going to cut it out with the color side up, and then we're going to flip it over onto the shirt. So we want it to be mirrored when we cut it out. And then on the red mat here for the dogs word, I'm going to also mirror that by just clicking this over here on the left hand side. Okay, so that's good to go, and I will just hit continue on the lower right. Okay, so it is connected to my Maker, and now I'm going to select my base material. So I'm going to go to Browse All Materials over here on the right side. And if I scroll down, I'm looking for the iron-on category. So here's the iron-on, and then what I'm looking for is Infusible Ink transfer sheet, because that's what I'm going to be cutting both of these out of. I'll hit done, I'm going to leave the pressure on default. It gives you this little warning to say make sure mirrors turn down and the material is inked side up, so that's always good. Just have to load the fine point blade and we are good to go. So now let's head on over to the machine. Alright, so what I'm using today are the Infusible Ink transfer sheets, and this is the Buffalo Check Patterns set. So it comes with one sheet of black and one sheet of the Buffalo Check. So here's the black I've already got down on my mat. This is a standard grip mat. And you may notice that the color looks kind of gray brown. It's not a true black. And then the Buffalo Check here is also kind of faded looking, and that is completely normal because once you heat it, it's going to look like this. That's just part of Infusible Ink or Sublimation ink. It's the way it works. For whatever reason, like when you print it or color with it or whatever you do with it, it's always kind of faded looking until you heat it. It's the heat that turns it into a gas that then infuses it into the surface, which brings out the brightness in the color. And then it comes with some butcher paper, which we'll need for the heating process. It comes with 2 sheets, which is great. It also comes with this little sample piece of polyester fabric that you can use to test the color on if you want. But we'll put those to the side for now, and I'm going to just load my mat with the black into my maker. I already have my, oh, let me make sure. Yep, I got my fine point blade in my B clamp. So I'm just going to load my mat. And now the Cricut button is flashing to let me know it's ready to start. So I'm going to hit go. Okay, hopefully you can see that. I'm going to check it just to make sure it's cut through. Okay, it looks like it has. So I'm going to unload the mat. Alright, so I've loaded my plaid sheet onto my mat, and now I'm going to cut the dog's word. So I'm going to load the mat. Button starts flashing, I'll hit go. Okay, let's cut through, so I'm going to unload the mat. So weeding Infusible Ink is not like weeding vinyl because this is a much stiffer material. It's almost paper-like. So you really don't need any special tools. Like a weeding tool would almost be overkill because you definitely don't want to scratch the material, because if you scratch it then you're going to lose some of the color. It won't transfer properly. So I'm trying to get a corner going here. So once you get a corner going, it's pretty easy to weed. You can hear that, like, I don't know, sort of popping sound as it comes away from the backing sheet, and that's totally normal. And you may notice I trimmed down these pieces. I used a paper trimmer just because I want to save as much of this as I can because it's not inexpensive. So if I can use this, the parts that I haven't cut out for even small designs, it's definitely worth keeping. So I'm going to wrap it back up into that black plastic and roll it back up and put it in in the container it came in. And like these cute little hearts, I could see using those on another project. You do want to be careful to not touch this too much because the oils from your hand can affect the way it transfers. And make sure your hands are dry when you're doing this. Don't have lotion on your hands because that will definitely negatively affect the transfer of the product. So this one's done, so we're going to set that to the side. Okay, I've weeded out the design, and now I need to transfer this over to this, because with Infusible Ink you need to, or any sublimation ink, you have to do multiple colors all at the same time. It's not like heat transfer vinyl where you can layer it. You have to do it, you can only press it once, so because if you do it more than once, it's going to give you problems with the color. The color will change if you press it more than once, so you don't want to do that. So I'm going to just peel back my backer sheet on this a little bit, and then I'm going to try to fit my O around the paw print first. So that's good to go. So now I'm going to set up the heat press. Get that ready. Okay, so I've got my EasyPress heating up here. So, yeah, so I set it to 385 for 40 seconds, so it's working on heating up to that temperature. I have my t-shirt blank here. This is a Hanes Cool Dry t-shirt. It's 100% polyester. This is a women's. And so I'm going to put some cardstock inside the t-shirt to protect my mat, my EasyPress mat that's here. Because the ink can bleed through. It could bleed through the front into the back of the shirt and theoretically onto the mat. So the cardstock is going to prevent that from happening. Okay, then I want to take a lint roller and I'm going to get a clean sheet. And I want to lint roll this. Because if you have any like hair or lint on the shirt, it can interfere with the ability of the ink to transfer properly. So that's what the ink or the lint roller is for. Alright, so the cardstock is overlapping a little. I'm hoping that pressure is going to prevent any problems with that. So I'm going to put a piece of butcher paper down. And then we're going to press the shirt for 15 seconds. And that just helps get any moisture out of the shirt that might interfere with the transference of the ink. And now I'm going to just let it cool off. Because this Infusible ink or Sublimation ink is heat activated, we don't want to set it on anything that's even remotely warm because it can transfer and that will mess up your image. So I'm going to let this cool off. And I'm trying to get my shirt basically sort of a good center point. And I'm going to let it cool and then I will come back. I want it like a couple fingers down from the V. And put my piece of butcher paper back down. And I want to make sure I get the whole thing covered. And then I'm going to just set it down once, put a little pressure on it, wait for the counter to end, and then pull it straight up because we don't want to get any ghosting of the image, which can happen if you slide the heat press at all. So wish me luck here. And it says light pressure, but I'm going to actually put probably more like medium pressure on, just because of the way that cardstock is arranged in the middle. And I want to make sure that the center is getting good contact with the shirt and not being interfered with by the cardstock. Alright, so it is supposed to be a warm peel, not a hot peel. So I'm going to wait a little bit for this to dissipate. It's pretty hot right now. Okay, and you can see from the back side that the ink transferred pretty evenly all the way across. Like I don't have any spots where there's more ink left. And look at how cute it is. It's so cute. You can see the press box, but that I think will come out when I wash it. Now the great thing about this is that like it is in the fabric. Like it's not sitting on top of the fabric. It's actually in there. So like you can pull it and you can see the weave of the fabric, and it's in there. I am personally kind of obsessed with sublimation and infusible ink sheets and pens and markers, you name it, just because they're so easy to work with and get really into the fabric and are machine washable and amazing. So if you got something out of the video, I'd appreciate it if you could give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and consider subscribing to my channel. Here are a couple more videos where I've talked about infusible ink pens, so check those out for a little more detail on infusible ink. Thanks so much. Have a great day.